Hi, I'm Janani Krishnaswamy, MD, MPH. I work as a physician author and content developer at UWorld Medical, where I focus on general medicine topics, patient safety, and medical quality. So here at UWorld, I work on helping residents and students prepare for and pass the most high-stakes licensing exams, including Step 3. So for those of you who are about to tackle this challenging exam, here are some tips based on frequently asked questions I commonly hear about the exam. How should you study for Step 3? Most residents, as you know, have limited bandwidth, and we're running on way less sleep and way less rest compared to a medical student. So active learning methods are your friends. Rather than trying to read passively from a textbook, those days are gone. Focus on doing questions. Remember, questions and doing question banks is an evidence-based method to learn and retain information. It's actually shown that taking questions helps you to retain information much better than passive reading or other modalities. So make sure when you're taking questions that you go over all those explanations and use that process as your studying method. You might need to add supplemental material as needed. So, for example, the best thing for that would be the reference library for topics that you're less familiar with. The great thing about the reference library is it's not textbooks worth of information. It just focuses on the high-yield subjects that you really need to know, and you don't need to do a deep dive into every topic. There are lots of active learning modalities in UWorld and resources to help you plan your studying. For example, there are the questions, there's also flashcards, and then there's performance tracking and study plans. Taken all together, it'll help you identify your weaknesses and strengths ahead of the test. So the key thing that I want to emphasize is that frequent and consistent exposure to questions will help you to retain information and promote your learning. The great thing about questions, as you all know from your prior exam experience, is that it helps you get into the mindset of how the exam is structured. It's been a while for most folks, so this will rebuild that familiarity with the test and allow you to walk into test day with confidence. Key point, don't neglect the clinical cases. They're not hard, but you do need to be familiar with the format and how to proceed through them. The good news is UWorld does have clinical simulation cases that mimic the exam. This is all you need to do for the test. How do you find time to study? So gone are those 8-hour-long study sessions. That's a thing of the past. You will have to fit in question bank work into your schedule whenever you can. So here's a tip. Doing a small block of questions, frequent exposure, every day is much more realistic than setting aside hour-long blocks to do questions. Even a 15-minute bout of questions can be beneficial. This is like taking a study snack. It's like exercise snacks are good for your health. Study snacks are good for retaining information. They keep your brain sharp and actively engaged in the process of learning. So even 15 minutes works as long as you do it frequently and consistently. The other key point, and something I hear a lot from students as an effective technique, is to build test taking into your clinical practice. For example, if you have a patient with a specific condition, use that opportunity to do questions related to that condition or read a reference library article on that topic. It is much easier to recall information when it's tied to a patient or a tangible experience that you've had. So this is a key point. It will make studying much more easy and relevant. It's great to have mobile access to questions, so that's wonderful because UWorld does have mobile access for on-the-go questions, and that's going to be helpful as well. When you do have days off, it's wise to do concerted longer study sessions if you can that focus on your weaker material, focusing on problem areas. And here's another opportunity where you can actually take time and read through the reference library articles on those topics. It's going to be less realistic to take full-length practice exams, but it is an option to take longer blocks and, couple of hour blocks if time allows. What are the most common mistakes people make when studying for Step 3? So one key point is people don't get enough rest before the exam. Remember, this is a test of attention, lots of focus. So don't try to study hard like the night before and stay up all night. You're gonna need your attention and energy to just make it through the exam. The other common mistake is not prepping the clinical cases. Remember, again, these aren't terribly difficult, but you do need to be familiar with the format and how to proceed through them. The third mistake is over-preparing. Remember, you are really busy during intern year and you will have to have excellent time management skills. This will allow you to study often and smartly rather than wasting excess time going through textbooks, or worse, spreading yourself too thin with multiple QBanks, books, and other resources that you may not even need. UWorld is designed to be an all-in-one resource, so it's one user interface. It allows you to access reference material, make flashcards, practice the cases, and most importantly, take questions. So in closing, yes, preparing for this test is a beast, and it's not always pleasant. As you know from step 1 and step 2 though, test taking is a skill unto itself. And luckily, if you made it this far, you are living proof of the evidence that we have that the best way to prep for a test like this is to take questions, understand the answers, rinse and repeat. This will get you to pass on test day. The other thing I'll say is that, again, while it's not pleasant to take these tests, at the end of the day, it's not only about passing. These tests and the philosophy that underlies UWorld's question banks and resources is that by sincerely understanding and mastering the topics on this test, you've taken a huge step toward becoming the best clinician you can be. Integrating the work you do for step 3 prep, like taking questions and reading articles, with your efforts to optimize your clinical practice will help bring sanity to the process of preparing for the test. It will make it seem like a less pointless burden and increase your motivation and, most importantly, your chances of success. So best of luck.